Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Alex Raymond's Rip Kirby, the first modern detective. This is the complete comic strips from 1946 to 1948. All right, I just got this, and I started to read it because it's gigantic, and I wanted to get it off my shelf before it took up a big pile of room. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying it. Okay, this was in the daily newspapers. The daily newspaper comic strips were very prestigious, unlike comic books. That's why Will Eisner wanted to get the spirit done in the newspapers. Comic books at this point, comic books were pretty seen as children's literature. You know, throwaway garbage, not garbage, but throwaway literature for kids. But the comic strips in the newspapers, again, that was a big deal. If you know, that was like highbrow. That was what the cream of the crop, the pinnacle of comic book sequential art, was to get into that newspaper. And this is Alex Raymond. Alex Raymond created Flash Gordon. He was pretty much, well, let's open it up and we'll talk about it. So look at this. Look at this artwork. This is a huge book. I just love his artwork. And over here we have, you know, a write-up about who Alex Raymond is. And I have to admit, I didn't know much about him because Alex Raymond, Rip Kirby, I have to admit that I don't know much about the newspaper strips. Here is him drawing some model. Alex Raymond sketches Balula Betor from the 1948 King features promotional booklet, blah, 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 blah. All right, so there we go. Rip Kirby. I'm not going to show everything. I'm just going to talk about what I know. And I didn't read the whole thing yet, but there we go. That's Rip Kirby. And here we have Dean Mullaney talking about him, writing him up. So it's talking about his life. This is a biography of the man. And I didn't know much about Alex Raymond at the time. So what did Alex Raymond do? He created Rip Kirby, Jungle Jim, and Flash Gordon. Okay, so he was given the job to basically rip off Buck Rogers. So he came up with Flash Gordon. So Buck Rogers was first, then Flash Gordon. And it was an immediate success. And something called World War II happened after a while, and he enlisted and he went to war. And King Features had somebody else doing his work for him. Here we go. Look at him. He looks like Rip Kirby, right? Looks like Stan Lee, actually. And when he came back, because since he enlisted into the war, he wasn't legally covered to get his job back. So King Features didn't have to hire him back. And what they did was he threatened to go to a rival, and King Features said, "How about you make up another strip, and if it doesn't succeed, we'll go back and revisit Flash Gordon." So he was mighty upset. So he actually came up with a contract that he owned his new creation, which turned out to be Rip Kirby. And within like 3 weeks, it was already in 75 papers. And then like within a month, it was in 150 papers. It was a success. So here's some of his work right over here. That's Jungle Jim. This was like the Sunday supplement. Like the Sundays had a full page. Up here was Jungle Jim, and this was Flash Gordon. And it's kind of strange about Rip Kirby is he did like a couple of Sunday pages, like full page, but he didn't like it. He thought it was too time consuming for the profit, and he stopped. So Rip Kirby became just a daily strip. Here's some more artwork, and let's get to his promotional art. This is his girlfriend Honey, right? Originally he was called Rip O'Rourke, and she was originally called Taffy, but she became Honey, and he became Rip Kirby. War made a realist out of me. So what happened was he was really pissed at King Features because of what they did to him over Flash Gordon. He didn't want to work with them, but he had bills to pay, and you know, like any. He was getting married, he had kids, and he needed to pay those bills. So here's some more. Look at that. Look at that. And tell me that doesn't look like him. There's his girlfriend, Honey. Okay? Yeah. 2 weeks ago, so within 2 weeks, it was in 72 newspapers. All right. Here's some more strips, and I just want to get to the art. Okay, so here we go. This is the very first page. This is his butler. And note, there's no laser beams, there's no space. It was very realistic. Just guns and sleuths. So the first story is this woman was killed in his hallway. and the janitor tells him that he heard a click clacking down the hallway, so he immediately thinks it's a woman in high heels that shot her. So it turns out she's a model, so he's going to go investigate the modeling agency. So he actually calls his girlfriend and tells her to try out for the modeling agency, because she, Rip Kirby, look at this guy. He's like, like I'm going to joke and even call him a Mary Sue. He's military guy. He's a PhD in some sort of undefined science, and rich, handsome, and then part-time amateur detective. So he's like the dream 1940s man, and he's got the hot girlfriend, and she's going to go down and apply to become a model in the agency, to become his inside man. And of course they all go gaga over her, and she becomes the model. And here's another model that immediately takes a disliking to her because she doesn't want competition, so she's suspect number one. And she's actually enjoying it. She thinks it's fun. Wow, look at me, I'm doing all this stuff. And here's another model that turns out the girl who was killed was also the rival for her affections to the guy that she likes, so she's suspect number two. And he's just grilling everybody and always sitting there with the pipe. I just think of like Don Draper from Mad Men. And look at this artwork. It's really good. Why did I get interested in this? It's totally different than anything I've ever read. And I even said I never really liked the newspaper comic strips. I never got into them. I read them. I'm going to take that back. I'll walk that back a bit. I always read them. I always looked forward to them as a kid, reading them, but I never collected them. I was never really, the Spider-Man newspaper strip contradicted the continuity, so it bothered me, so that it didn't matter. Okay, I enjoyed it, but it didn't matter. It was fluff. And that's the way I looked at it. Although I got into like a Johnny Hart phase, BC, Wizard of Id, and things like that. And I really liked it. And of course, we all liked Calvin and Hobbes, and we all liked The Far Side. But, these Mary Worth, this, I would have ignored as a kid. Brenda Starr Reporter and stuff. But now, again, I've said this every time I make a video these days, that I got disillusioned with Marvel and DC in 2015. I felt like they didn't care about their long-time audience. They started disregarding continuity, and that started to bother me first, and then they started disrespecting their own characters, changing established histories, with the basically mocking the audience. Like, well, if you don't like it, you're an istophobe, a racist, or a Nazi. And I'm like, why am I... Comic books are expensive, and I'm not enjoying them, so I just stopped. But I still like comic books, and I still want to read comics. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll see that I have been buying back issues and reading more comics and enjoying comics more than ever. Things like alternate comics, things, Dark Horse comics, and more creator-owned stuff. So, the creators have a stake in it, so they're not going to insult their audience because, they don't have people working at Marvel, they don't care if they insult you. Who cares? They'll just get hired at the same low rate at the next strip, and big deal, But Stan Sakai isn't going to insult his audience, that because that's Usagi Yojimbo. Plus, he's a nice guy. He's a professional. But anyway, back to this. So I'm trying to fill the niche of wanting to read comics and enjoying comics, and I listen to Chuck Dixon. Every other Wednesday, he puts out like an hour-long video, and he talks about behind-the-scenes stories and other stuff, and one of them he does is What's He Reading, and he talked about Rip Kirby, and I said, you know what, I joke, every time I listen to that Chuck Dixon broadcast, it cost me $20. Well, this time it cost me like $40, because I bought this on his recommendation, and I really enjoyed the first story. I just really enjoyed it. It's a detective story. It's so far it's not like a shoot 'em up or violence or anything. It's more like a heady drama. He solves the crime using his head and deduction and reason. And that's one of the things that Alex Raymond wanted to do. He wanted to ground this in realism, just like Flash Gordon was grounded in science fiction, science fantasy. So he's using logical deduction, talking to people, fingerprinting, and all real detective stuff. Not like a Batman. Let's face it, as much as I love Batman, he doesn't really use like realistic detective, at least not anymore. But this is all grounded in realism. The violence is real, the stakes are real, and I really do enjoy it. Plus, look at this artwork. Look, it's so good. It's just so good, and he's just a master. I love the clean lines. Each frame is interesting, and it's basically talking heads. I mean, here we got this beautiful church over here. It's basically Talking Heads, but it changes. The angle changes. The perspective changes. The lighting changes. It's really, really good. I could see hating this as a child. Okay? And I probably would have ignored this as a child. And I didn't know about this because it ended in the 50s. But nowadays, as an adult, I got to say, I really like... I'm going to close the book now because it's kind of hard to stay open. I'm really enjoying this stuff. I bought I got the I can't did the Noel Sickles. I got that on the recommendation of John Romita Sr. I actually went to his house and had lunch a couple of years ago. So I'm getting more and more and more into these newspaper strip comics. What else was I reading? I read the original Fury. That was a lot of fun. And I'm in a way. I don't, well, not in a way, definitely. I don't miss Marvel and I don't miss DC at all. And I'm learning more and more about comics because I was a diehard Marvel zombie. There's no other way to describe it. I was a diehard Marvel zombie. Then after 1985, Marvel and DC, and then kind of around the same time I started getting into Eclipse and all the other first comics and Comico and everything. So but it was all mostly superheroes, with the occasional other things. Now, I mean, I still love superheroes. I don't even want to watch The Boys because I still love superheroes, and I want my superheroes to be good guys. I want them to be Boy Scouts. I want them to be the best of the best. And, so I'm tired of The Boys. I didn't particularly like the comic, and I as much as I love The Watchmen, people have been saying that The Watchmen ushered in this deconstructionist for superheroes. And you know what? Now I'm starting to agree. Maybe The Watchmen and Dark Knight Rises did more damage than harm in the long run. Because ever since then, it's been this destroying superheroes, tearing things down. Anyway, that was a long rant that had nothing to do with Rip Kirby. But that's the way my mind works. So anyway, I just... Chuck Dixon recommended this to anybody, not to me particularly, to anybody who listens to his YouTube channel. So I bought it, and I'm really glad I did. I'm enjoying it. I'm reading one full story, and then I'll put it down, and I'll read some other comics, and then tonight I'm going to start the second story. The first one was the introduction story, and I liked it. It was I don't know, it could have been easily translated into a detective TV show. No spaceships, no robots or anything like that. And excellent art. Super realistic. And that was his goal. I think the war, like he said, the war grew him up. He was tired of the fantastic stuff like he did with Flash Gordon and Jungle Jim. But there you go. Now I'm rambling and repeating myself. But this is Rick Kirby, the first modern detective. At least I think... that's the catch line, but I just realized this is really, but it's good. I recommend it. I could see, if that's kind of a silly thing to say, I could see it's not everybody's cup of tea because that just goes without saying, even though I say it. I'm just out of my mind. I bought Andrusel, Aragon's sword. See that there's Glamdring, and here's Andrusel. Here's my coffee. This is my stack of comics that I want to showcase. This is my stack of comics that I'm reading currently. And I don't know why. I too much coffee, so I'm not focused. There's the Wally Wood book that a subscriber recommended to me. And this is my dirty desk that I need to clean. Oh, I'm nearing 300 subscribers, and somebody suggested doing a live chat, where people could join in. Now, I thought of that. But I didn't think, first off, I didn't think I had big enough audience. Is anybody interested in that? Should I do that when I hit 300? Schedule a live chat? And if so, could somebody coach me on how to do it? Because I'm the stereotypical. I'm not a boomer. I'm Generation Z, but I still don't know how to do a lot of stuff, like edit videos. I just start all over again when I mumble too much. All right. So what do you think? All right. But I can't believe I'm almost 300 because I started to despair for a while and I was going to stop doing it because it was just a long period of time where I couldn't get past 86 subscribers. Now I have almost 300. That's amazing. And I used to get 6. If you go back to my early videos, you'll see they're still there, 6 views a video. I didn't know what I was doing. I rambled too much. My microphone was bad. And, I like to think I'm improving a little bit. I'm trying to keep the energy up. I don't record on some nights when I'm just so sleepy because I figure it's better to not have a video than to put up a video where I'm just so dreary and boring, because like Stan Lee and Jim Shooter used to say, every comic book is somebody's first comic. So every video is somebody's first video is the way I look at it. So I don't want their first video to be like me just being boring and dull. All right. So anyway, now I'm rambling and I'm being boring and dull, contradictory. But I'm a complicated person. I'm a man of contradictions. Should I show my Andrew sword again? I'm currently also rereading Lord of the Rings, and the first time I've been reading it since college, and boy, am I enjoying it. So many details that I forgot. That's besides the point. This is Rip Kirby. Man, I'm all over the place tonight, but I'm out of my mind. All right, thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys. I can't believe I'm almost at 300. Let me know what you think about this live chat thing. Are you interested? What will we talk about? How would I do it? How would I format it? I don't know. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.